at the time of his death, but he didn't make it this far without an intelligent mindset. As he gives his speech, the listeners begin to turn their wheels, and a spark of motivation and encouragement flood their bodies. The graduates applaud with excitement as he wraps up, and they're excited for what their future holds. Through this speech, Jobs makes clear of never settling or selling yourself short of something you love to do. And if you do these things, you're on a pathway to success. Steve Jobs, the speaker, founded Apple in 1976 and has made a large impact on today's technology. A few words to describe Steve Jobs would be a genius and a visionary, which is how he invented the iPod, iPad, Macintosh, and Retina display. Unfortunately, Steve Jobs was diagnosed with cancer in 2003 and later died in 2011. Therefore, he gave this speech in the midst of it all. This speech is considered to be important because it pays a tribute to the graduating college students of Stanford. This speech was positive, but not everything in 2005 was. The worldwide protests occurred against the Iraq War with 150,000 protesters in Washington, D.C. Along with this, Hurricane Rita hit the Gulf Coast, which was a very big tragedy.
We thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods in my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. In a remarkable turn of events, Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. And Maureen and I have a wonderful family together. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. And that is as true for work as it is for your lovers. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking. Don't settle.
This speech was given in 2005 at the Stanford College commencement ceremony. The people who tuned in were graduates, family, friends, and likely teachers. They enjoyed the motivational talk, and they had loud applause when Jobs had wrapped up his speech. It is pretty prominent what the purpose of Jobs' speech was. His purpose was to motivate and inspire students who had finally finished their college years. Endure, to withstand courage, and Steve Jobs' speech will do exactly that. Steve speaks to a crowd who is ready to go and start their life after college. He sets them on a path to success by giving them advice of never settling. He speaks to graduates who are hungry for more time, inspiration, motivation, and recognition. He does this by feeding them words of wisdom they can hold on and apply to their future years. Job helps them understand you should love what you do and not be in it for any other reason. Whether that's because your parents want you to, your friends are doing it, for the money, or because it's easy. You've got to find what you love, Job says. He speaks to them, and this speech will endure because it gives motivation and encouragement to all, especially when they have felt like giving up or forgot why they started. He reminds them it is okay to fail, but it is never okay to continue on the path doing something you do not love. People often forget this, and they begin to dread their days and work, but Job helps us see this clearly. The significance to history and to today. Job is an incredibly inspirational person and has great morals and ideals that can be applied to today and can be applied from years back. Many know he is extremely successful, which is why wise words from him will never expire. People will look at his speech the same as the day he gave it, because he's a key role in influencing yesterday's, today's, and tomorrow's world. His work and inventions still apply to today and continue to move forward. Without him, I'm not sure the technology world would ever be the same. And many didn't listen to Job's speech with open ears until the day he died. This is significant because it shows how they sympathized over his death and wanted to know more about his life beforehand and what he had to say when he was sick. Job uses rhetorical devices throughout his entire speech. He uses a metaphor by saying, "It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it." He's saying his medicine is the experience that he had. He uses antidosis by saying the only way to be truly satisfied is to do great work, and the only way to do great work is to love what you do. He begins his second sentence the same way he ends his first. He also uses hyperbole by saying, sometimes life is going to hit you upside the head with a brick, and we all know he's not actually going to get hit and it is just exaggeration. He also uses repetition by saying the phrases, "Love what you do," and "Don't settle" continuously throughout the speech. And finally, he uses alliteration by saying, "But something slowly began to dawn on me." Job uses Aristotle's 3 persuasive techniques. He uses pathos by showing his emotions. He says, again, the only way to be truly satisfied is to do great work, and to do great work is to love what you do. He uses ethos by showing credibility and trustworthiness. He says, I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And finally, Jobs uses logos by showing stats and proof. He says, Pixar went on to create the world's first animated feature film, Toy Story, and later went on to be the most successful animated studio in the world. All in all, Steve Jobs in his speech will live on forever because he successfully sends the message of never settling or selling yourself short of something you love to do, which is why you will ultimately lead to the pathway to success, as Jobs would say.